Alright, raise your hand if you saw this one coming. Star Wars Outlaws has debuted on Steam to atrocious, catastrophically low amounts of players. We're talking around 600 people worldwide concurrently playing Star Wars Outlaws on its Steam launch day. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. And here's the video everyone was expecting, because Star Wars Outlaws has been a downward trajectory type game since its launch, where sure, there was a little bit of hubbub initially for it. People were excited about it coming out. And yeah, Ubisoft, we can try to look past that because we love Star Wars. I get all that. The game comes out to lukewarm reviews. People thought it was average at best and moved on from it fairly quickly. They didn't like Ubisoft being the company that doesn't really want you to own your games, and people overwhelmingly just kind of said, meh, I'll play other games. There's plenty out there. I don't need to support this company. And now, after a month and a half or so of the game being out, it finally debuts on Steam to paltry numbers. Ubisoft is boned. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article breaking down this paltry, catastrophically bad Steam launch, because these numbers are even lower than even I was expecting. Ubisoft's initially much hyped and ultimately massive letdown on consoles, Star Wars Outlaws, has now finally had what we can only describe as a disastrous debut on Steam. Despite hopes that the game's late arrival on the platform could potentially spark some new interest with a different player base, sadly, for Ubisoft at least, nope. No chance. Launch day numbers tell a very grim story of what they can expect going forward with this, because as of now, per SteamDB, launch day max players live concurrently is at 603 people total. Ooh, that's really bad. Like, I don't know how else to put it for a AAA game that was in development for a very long time, lots of money spent on it, and a company that's financially struggling like Ubisoft. 600 people playing a game? You're not going to get by with that. Most people would say this kind of number is unthinkable, but then again, it's Ubisoft, so I guess it comes with the territory. And this is just part of the story. The troubled Steam launch comes a couple of months after Outlaws first hit other platforms in August, where, being filled to the brim with sluggish gameplay and bugs and glitches, it immediately underperformed. Ubisoft admitted in their first half earnings report for 2024-2025 that the game underperformed sales expectations, and the numbers on Steam indicate that gamers have already written Outlaws off, with very little interest in revisiting it. A day before the release, the writing was already on the wall for the failure incoming, and shout out to the Fandom Pulse and John Trent for getting the screenshot before the game went live, because according to SteamDB, the game ranked a dismal 249th on the most wishlisted upcoming Steam games. Just 6,789 followers that were excited about this game, and that was one day before it launched on Steam. A Star Wars game. Like, take a step back from this and just say, oh, okay, it's Ubisoft, I get it, Ubisoft sucks, haha, let's laugh at that. But a Star Wars property. How the mighty have fallen. I know Disney screwed the pooch when it comes to Star Wars and using that property in the right way, and I understand it's not in the best light publicly for the most people watching Star Wars, not liking what they're taking the direction of it. I get all that. But at the end of the day, it's still Star Wars, and even if you ignore all that, these numbers are atrocious. Of course, Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot attempted to paint a rosier picture in the lead up to the Steam launch, claiming that 3 updates had improved community sentiment and teased a major update coinciding with the Steam release, alongside the game's first big story pack. But don't hold your breath to be amazed though. Guillemot positioned this as an opportunity to address a mainstream audience for the busy season and try to turn Outlaws into a must-play game. And I gotta say, adding updates to something people have already laughed off and moved on from isn't going to work when your company is woke as hell and straight up telling their customers, hey, we don't want you to own your games and get used to not owning them because we want to make live service and take all the money we can from you. Ubisoft has rolled out its largest update yet for Star Wars Outlaws, so for those that were wondering what it was they were adding to it, here's some information about the patch highlights. First off, they improved stealth and combat mechanics, where players now have more flexibility in choosing between stealth and direct combat, even in syndicate control areas. They also supposedly enhanced the AI detection mechanics, and the weak points have been added to enemies. All these things in this update are things that I'm like, shouldn't that have been in the game when it launched? Why did it take an update for this stuff? This is basic. But anyway, the update goes on. Revised weapon handling. Pickup weapons, including two-handed ones, can now be carried more often, streamlining combat scenarios. And K's blaster has been retuned to create smoother and more engaging combat experiences. They also made updates to the visuals and animations, where dialogue scenes now feature improved facial expressions, and the cinematic lens toggle option has been added. It was a pretty sizable update as well. We're talking upwards of 6 to 10 gigs, depending on the platform that you own this game on. And I'm just putting this all together like, okay, great. We made all these updates to the game and it plays a lot better. It's far more fluent. We worked on it and it should be a more precise game that hopefully draws you into the world better and it's more exciting and exhilarating to play. And I'm all good and well with that. But again, where was this when the game launched 2.5 months ago? If you could have done all these updates in 2.5 months, why not just delay the game and do it right the first time? The biggest part of the update is probably the DLC, the first story pack. They call it Wildcard, and that introduces players to a new mission where K infiltrates a high-stakes sabacc tournament, and the DLC is accessible with the Season Pass or can be purchased individually. And again, I go back to looking at all this stuff. I see Lando in it, and it looks cool. But all this stuff, I feel like Ubisoft cut portions of the game out of it just to add it in later as DLC, trying to nickel and dime and make more money off of the gamers, instead of doing it right the first time and doing right by the gamers, for the gamers, to make sure that this is an all-in-one experience, all-encompassing, perfectly done as best they could out the door without additional nickel and diming and without making people wait upwards of 3 months to get dialogue scenes right or the combat to be fluent. This is unacceptable in the modern era of gaming. Gamers won't stand for it when there's so much competition out there already. Unfortunately for Ubisoft, the results prove more that these efforts were way too little, too late. And despite promises of quality improvements and promotional pushes during the holiday season, gamers have appeared to completely have moved on from it, unwilling to even give the game a second, or for in many cases, a first chance. I can't say I'm really surprised though. When I look at the company that's actively trying to take my ownership away from the games that I own, I don't really want to contribute to the mess trash pile burning dumpster fire that is also known as Ubisoft these days. The failure of Star Wars Outlaws isn't just a blow to Ubisoft, it's a worrying sign for the broader Star Wars franchise as well. Like I said earlier, Disney has trashed the IP in recent years, and most people have just laughed this off, which is really unfortunate and tragic in a certain light, because Star Wars was one of the fan favorite, most iconic IPs in entertainment history, and how fast it's fallen thanks to the woke mind virus completely destroying any excitement many fans ever had for the series in the first place. Ubisoft's inability to deliver a compelling product is a harsh reminder of the consequences of mismanagement and misaligned priorities. The game's been criticized for its generic gameplay, poor optimizations, bugs, glitches, and most importantly, uninspired narrative, failings that no amount of post-launch updates could erase from players' initial impressions. With Outlaws now performing this disastrously on Steam, Ubisoft is facing even a steeper hill to try to climb up, if we can believe that much, to salvage the game and its reputation, whatever reputation they even have at this point. With holiday discounts and marketing campaigns could potentially provide a temporary boost to sales, the long-term prospects for Outlaws looks extremely bleak. Gamers have spoken, and their message is loud and clear. Star Wars Outlaws is a game they can and will live without. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want more information, check out smashjt.com for the full article breaking down all the information. Again, shout out to Phantom Pulse and John Trent for providing some of the insight to this and the backstory, because holy crap, it's not just the launch day that's terrible. The lead up should have told everyone just how disastrous this was going to be. If you guys appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.
We also received your feedback regarding enemy AI. So we made some adjustments to their decision making while addressing some of the exploit that we found.